Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Abdul Rahman and we are learning ECG. In the previous video, we discussed in detail about cardiac anatomy, physiology and electrophysiology of heart. After that, we constructed our ECG with the help of different action potential generating in the different portions of the heart. And after that, we discussed about ECG leads, cardiac axis and pacemaker of the heart and the property of automaticity. Now it is the best time to read about the real deal because we have made our basis to learn about ECG, and now we will discuss about different waves, intervals and segments which are present in the ECG individually. And this particular video will be focusing only on P wave, normal P wave and P wave abnormalities. So we know that our P wave is generated, is representing basically atrial depolarization. So atrial depolarization is represented by P wave in ECG. This is our heart, this is our SA node, this is our AV node. Impulse, we know that impulse is generated in SA node and then it depolarizes both of the atria and reaches AV node, and then there is AV nodal delay, and after that it passes further, depolarizes ventricle and the septum. In this video, we will discuss only above this part. We will discuss only what happened in the atria, and I will not go to the ventricle or septum or AV node. So P wave is just representation of what is happening above this line. So we established that P wave is generated by atrial depolarization, and we have two atria. We have right and left atria. This is right and this is left atrium. So it means that actually there are two P waves. One P wave is representing the depolarization of right atrium and the other P wave is representing the depolarization of left atrium. And because these both P waves, both atria are depolarized at the same time, that's why these both waves are superimposed on each other and we see only one P wave. So in any circumstances, if any one of the atria depolarizes later than the other one, then we will see a different type of P wave, and maybe it will be M-shaped P wave or bifid P wave, because one atrium is depolarizing later than the other. And if this happens, then the shape of P wave will change. Now the shape of P wave basically depends upon two things. Number one, point of origin, that from where P wave is originating. Is it P wave is originated by SA node or P wave is originating somewhere in the atria? We learned that there are some atria can also be a pacemaker and generate impulses, or P wave is being generated in the junctional area. If P wave is generating in the junctional area, then we will have a junctional rhythm. So broadly speaking, P wave can be of three types on the basis of its origin. It can be originated in SA node, it can be originated anywhere in the atria, or it can be originated in the nodal area or junctional area. And the shape of P wave depends upon point of origin. And the second thing upon which shape of P wave depends is its pathway of depolarization. So after originating in SA node, from where it is reaching to AV node, mean its pathway is normal. Normal mean both of our atria are they of normal size. If any one of the atria is bigger in size, then obviously, or is not in its own shape, then obviously the pathway will be different and we will be having a different shape of P wave. So there are two things, the point of origin and the pathway of depolarization upon which the shape of P wave depends. Now let's take an example that P wave is originating in SA node. When P wave is originating in SA node and both of our atria are of normal size, then a normal P wave will be generated, which will be like this. A normal height and a normal width of P wave will be generated. And because when atria will be depolarizing, our direction of depolarization will be on this side, and we know that we have lead 2 over here and AVR over here. So this is the reason that in normal circumstances, when P wave is originating in SA node and both of the atria are normal, then the direction of depolarization is like this, and it is facing toward lead 2, and that is why the best lead to look for P wave normality or abnormality is lead 2, because the direction of depolarization will be towards lead 2 and P wave will be upright in lead 2. And similarly, if we see the same depolarization from AVR, and it will be moving away from AVR, so normally P wave will be negative in AVR if P wave is normal, if P wave is moving away from AVR. And similarly, we know that where are our chest leads are located over here: V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, and V1 is looking directly at the right angle towards this normal pathway, normal direction of action potential, and V1 is at the right angle. So that's why in V1 we can see a little bit positive and a little bit negative P wave. So these are the normal shapes of P wave in different cardiac leads, ECG leads. Because we told that the shape of any wave depends upon from where we are looking at that thing. If we are looking at atrial depolarization from AVR, it would be negative. If we are looking from V1, it will be positive and lead 2. And if we are looking from V1, it would be positive and negative. So this is normal. So let's say we have some point in the atria, and that focus is depolarizing. And if that focus will be depolarizing, the P wave direction, the P wave shape will be changed. And that shape, what type of shape will be, that depends upon the location of that focus. That shape can be like this in lead 2. That shape can be a small P wave or inverted P wave or bifid P wave. So any type of P wave shape can be generated depending upon the location. For example, if location is very near to SA node, the P wave will be more like a normal P wave, but it will not be normal P wave, because normal P wave is from SA node. This is the normal shape. So other than this, if P wave is originating anywhere in the atria, and depending upon the location, maybe from this location it is generating like this, maybe from this location it is generating like this, and maybe from this location it is generating like inverted, but it will not be a small P wave. So it depends upon from where, because atria are big. SA node is just one point, AV node is just one point, but atria are the bigger in size. So anywhere from the atria, P wave can be generated, and the shape of P wave will depend upon the point from where it is generated. So if in an ECG we have a P wave which is not normal, normal mean upright and of normal duration of P wave is from 0.8 to 0.12 milliseconds. So if P wave is not normal in size and shape, it is coming not from SA node, it will be coming from anywhere in the atria. So atrial P wave will be of different sizes and shape. And if only one focus is generating an impulse repeatedly. So in all of our ECG leads, this is our QRS and these are our P waves. So in all of our QRS, in all of our complexes, the P wave will be of same shape, but it will be not normal. It will be same in all the leads, but not normal. So we will say that this rhythm is atrial rhythm. And now sometime what happen, there is not only a single node which is present in the atria, there are multiple nodes which are present in the atria and they are generating impulses at the same time. So because multiple nodes will be located at different places, so their place of origin will be different. So what happen, there might be a, so this was our ECG. So maybe from one node P wave is generating like this, other node it was like this, and other node it was like this, depending upon the location. So we will be having multiple morphology of P waves, and this type of rhythm is called multifocal atrial rhythm. And when we have tachycardia, I mean if this type of rhythm is present and heart rate is more than 100, we call it as multifocal atrial tachycardia. What does it mean? It means that there are more than 3 different origins of depolarization. So we will have more than 3 different morphologies of P wave, at least more than 3 different morphology of P wave, and there is tachycardia. So this is called multifocal atrial tachycardia. There is another thing, because in multifocal atrial tachycardia, the origin of P wave will be different. Maybe a P wave originating at this point, it will reach earlier and it will depolarize earlier. A P wave which is originating a far point, it will depolarize later. So the time of depolarization will also be different. So some P wave will be reaching AV node earlier and some P wave will be reaching AV node later on. So this is why multifocal atrial tachycardia will always be irregular. If the point of origin would be single, then the rhythm should be regular. But because the point of origin are different and they are reaching AV node at different times, so that's why multifocal atrial tachycardia is always irregular. So this is one of the types of P wave abnormalities. Now let's talk about junctional P waves. So what happens in junction? Because our junction is, I told you, it is located very near to AV node. This was our SA node, this was our AV node. So if P wave is generating in this area, what would happen? It will immediately reaches AV node, and there is no time of generation of P wave, and there is no time of atria to be depolarized, and even if they are depolarized, they will not be showing any representation in the ECG. So that is why in case of junctional rhythm we can have QRS complex, because after AV node the impulse will go like a normal pathway, but there will be no P wave because it is so close to AV node that there is no time of generation of P wave. If P wave was here, it traveled a long path and it has made a good P wave. But if P wave is located very near to that, there is no time to generate any P wave. So in junctional rhythm we will not be having P waves, or sometime what happen, the junctional rhythm is the junction, the point of focus is located even inferior to AV node, and it goes to the opposite direction of what? Opposite direction of lead 2. So sometime even in junctional rhythm we see an inverted P wave, inverted and very small and very close to AV node, inverted P wave in lead 2. Sometime we can see like this, and sometime even what happen, the P wave is even generated after QRS complex. So the ventricle is already depolarized, but P wave come after that because it is located after the AV node. But just for the sake of convenience, just keep it in mind, in junctional rhythm we will not be seeing any P wave, and if we see any P wave it will be very close to QRS complex and it will be very tiny, or it might be inverted P wave. Okay, so this was the third abnormality of P wave. Second, as I told you, it depends upon its point of origin, and now we will discuss about a pathway. So how a different pathway changes the shape of P wave. So we have SA node, we have AV node, and normally both of the atria were depolarizing like this, and a normal P wave was being generated. Okay, so let's take a scenario in which our right atrium become too big, left atrium become too big. Then what will happen? Left atrium will be depolarized normally, while in case of right atrium it will take a long time to depolarize. So the left atrium will be depolarized a little bit later on. You get my point? And we will be having finally a M-shaped P wave, and this M-shaped P wave is called P mitral. And whenever you see an M-shaped P wave, it is P mitral, and P mitral represent what? It represents left atrial enlargement. And then we can think of, why left atria is enlarged, there might be any mitral stenosis or mitral regurgitation, and why mitral stenosis, there might be any rheumatic heart disease. So just looking at the P wave, we can think about a diagnosis, a final diagnosis. We can think about, there might be other thing, but this should come in your mind. And in another scenario, if our right atrium is fine, it is not enlarged, instead our left atrium is enlarged. Let's make another one. So this was our heart. And our left atrium is right atrium is enlarged and left one is normal. So what will happen? We know that our SA node is located at the junction of superior vena cava and left atrium, right atrium. So our SA node, which was already here, it will move over here. When SA node will move superiorly, then what will happen? To depolarize right atrium, there will be a bigger vector. A vector, previously vector was this small, now there will be a bigger vector in the direction of lead 2. So what will happen? On the right side, our P wave is like this. On the left side, P wave was normal, and overall we will be getting a tall P wave. This tall P wave is called P pulmonale. We call it as P pulmonale because it is on the pulmonary side, and P pulmonale will be representing right atrial enlargement. And why right atrial enlargement? There might be tricuspid stenosis, or there might be pulmonary stenosis, or there might be pulmonary hypertension, or we can think of pulmonary embolism. So just by looking at P wave, we can think about so many differential diagnoses. Okay, so tall tented P wave will be P pulmonale because P is tall, and bifid P wave is P mitral because M is bifid and it is on the mitral side of the heart. So this was about different abnormalities of the P wave. Now in the end, I would like to discuss about two most important cardiac arrhythmias, atrial fibrillation and atrial flutter. I will discuss these two things here because these are one of the most common arrhythmias, plus these are the one which are affecting our P waves. So first, atrial fibrillation. What happens in atrial fibrillation? There are so many models to explain it. According to some model that there are some nodes in the pulmonary veins and which generate impulses, and there are so many models. But the bottom line is what happened actually. There are so many focus in the atria, and all of those foci are generating impulses on their own, and there will be small waves, and we call that waves as wavelets because they are small, and they have small in amplitude and small in strength, so only few of them are strong enough to reach to AV node. Okay, so there will be so many foci in the atria, so that's why we will not be getting any good upright P wave. Instead, we will be getting a very bizarre and irregular baseline, because actually these are tiny P waves of all the wavelets, but there will not be any single good P wave because there are so many foci in the atria. So this will be our baseline with no P wave and irregular baseline. And when some of the wavelets become strong enough and reach AV node, then the impulse will be generated. So the impulse will not be regular. Sometime it will reach early, sometime it will reach later on, and it will be irregularly irregular because there will be no pattern. We don't know which wave will reach to AV node and will be conducted. So that's why what is the diagnostic criteria of atrial fibrillation is, first one is irregularly irregular rhythm, and second one is no P wave, and third one is irregular baseline. No P wave, irregularly irregular rhythm, and and irregular baseline. The diagnosis will be atrial fibrillation. Okay, and the last one, what happened in atrial flutter? In atrial flutter, at the junction of inferior vena cava and right atrium, usually there is one focus in the atria which is generating impulses at a very rapid rate. And according to one model which explains this, the electrophysiology of atrial flutter, according to that model, it generates an impulse, it reaches AV node, and then there is a re-entry circuit which has been developed. So as I told you, the normal length of P wave is 0.8 to 0.12 seconds. So on average we can take that normally P wave takes 0.1 second to reach to AV node. So if it will take 0.1 second to reach AV node, then same it will take 0.1 second to reach back to the focus, and then the circuit will continue. So to generate one P wave and complete one circuit, we need 0.2 seconds, right? We need 0.2 seconds to generate one P wave. So how many? So in 60 seconds, how many P waves will be generating? 1 divided by 0.2 multiplied by 60, and the answer will be 300. So in atrial flutter, the maximum number of P waves will be 300 P waves, which we can be generating if the duration of P wave is 0.1 second to reach from focus to atria. It can be plus or minus, but it will be around 300 P waves per minute. So what will happen, because they are very strong and the rate of P wave will be 300 P waves in a minute, and now the main regulatory thing will come on the AV node, because if all of the 300 P waves will be generated to the ventricle cannot be depolarized at this rapid rate. If ventricle is contracting at the rate of 300, it will fail. It will fail immediately and it will go into ventricular fibrillation and cardiac arrest. So to avoid this, what our AV node does, it blocks some of the P waves to be generated, to be transmitted or to the ventricle. So if in case AV node is not working, then what will happen? All the P waves will be generating and we will be having a ventricular rate of 300, which is impossible, and ventricle will go into ventricular fibrillation. But if our AV node is present and it is blocking every other P wave, so one P wave it is blocking and the other P wave it is allowing to pass, then what will happen? Our rate will be 300 divided by 2, it will be 150. So when the heart rate will be 150, you will say that there is 1 to 2 block, 1 to 2 AV nodal block. So so we can say that this is atrial flutter with 1 to 2 AV nodal block. And if our AV node is blocking even further, it is allowing 2 waves, it is blocking 2 waves and allowing every third wave to pass, then what will be the rate? 300 divided by 3, it will be 100. So if the rate is 100 with flutter waves, we will say that it is 1 to 3 block. And similarly, if it is 300 divided by 4, it will be 75 and it will be 1 to 4 block. And we can calculate further as much as we want. So when the AV nodal block will be increasing, our rate will be decreasing and our ratio will also be increasing. So sometimes our 2 to 1 block is very confusing because it looks like a normal QRS complex, then a normal P wave and the normal QRS complex. We can say that it might be sinus tachycardia. But if we are confused between a sinus tachycardia and an atrial flutter with 1 to 2 block, what is recommended? We will do a carotid massage. And carotid massage will increase vagal tone of AV node and an AV nodal block will be increased. So if we have an ECG like this and we do a carotid massage and the ECG converts like this 1 to 3 block or 1 to 4 block, then it means that it was atrial flutter. And if it was sinus tachycardia, the block will not be increased. There might be the rate will be slower, but we will not be seeing 2 P waves between 2 QRS complexes. So this was all about P wave abnormalities, atrial fibrillation and atrial flutter. Thank you.